My name is Jerod Tate. Impichachaha, right. Impichachaha is what's called a house name for my Chickasaw side of my family. And Chickasaws historically have house names and clan names. And the exact way they work is a little complex, but generally a house name is very much like a European surname. So if this were the year 1857 or something like that, I would be known by both names. I would be called either Jerod of Impichachaha or Jerod Tate. It would be interchangeable. You know, American Indian classical composition is a term that I probably couldn't define verbally. So when I say that I'm dedicated to American Indian classical composition, I'm more or less trying to get, you know, the idea sparked and people asking, what is that? And it gets the dialogue going. I mean, I've had this discussion with other Indian colleagues that are in all kinds of genres of music, and that is, you know, what is American Indian music? You know, what is it? It does boil down to, well, you know, you're an American Indian, you're making music, and that's what defines it. And I mean, I have to agree with that, absolutely. I would say that my ultimate goal is very, very personal. My ultimate goal in what I'm writing is to express how I feel about being a Chickasaw Indian person. That's my ultimate goal. So that means that you're going to find entirely different treatments by other Indian composers, because we're all expressing our own perspective. But honestly, my personal goal is just to tell you how I feel about being Indian. So with that in mind, and all this beautiful color at my disposal of all these wonderfully developed, incredible, you know, European instruments, it just gives me so much ability to express all of that. And there's so many ways that you can do it. You can keep things very, very simple and transcription-like in moments. And then you can also make things incredibly abstracted and complex. And I just love being able to do that, to be able to express simplicity and or complexity at any time that I feel about who I am. I want to make sure that when I do use American Indian instruments, it's done exceptionally well. And I don't want to settle for anything that comes off as simple-minded. You know, I mean, we can be simple in our music, but I don't want to be simple-minded about it. Like I said, I don't want to just slap the instrument in with the group and say, ta-da, here's the instrument, and here it is with the group. I want it to feel integral to the process and like it's supposed to be there, and that it makes sense at the end. And that, quite honestly, I want that repertoire to live beyond my lifetime.
Here we go. Next movement, Iholba. And this starts again very quietly with the talking flute, played by Tom.
I do have to say, it's really exciting to get the language out there, because I notice that when people hear, any audience hears a language, they respond very deeply to that. For some reason, that just resonates. Even when you don't understand what's going on, the fact that you're listening to that language presented in a dramatic fashion like that, it's really powerful. It's really, really powerful stuff. And I mean, look, there's a reason why other composers have written requiems and masses and everything, is because language presented like that is so beautiful and rich. And so I love the fact that I was able to do that with the Chickasaw language and bring that into a full chorus and orchestra and everything. It's really powerful. And the chorus, when we were working with the chorus, they were so interested and responsive. You know, a lot of people were like, oh wow, weren't they scared, you know, to sing an Indian language that they'd never sung before? it wasn't like that at all. I mean, chorus people they love diving into languages, and so when we were in rehearsal, they just had all these great questions of like, oh, is it more like this or more like this? And they were comparing it to the universal phonetics or another language that they've sung in, and the dialogue was just fantastic, and so. That was just a really exciting moment. I'm kind of going off on that, but it was really cool to be in rehearsal with them and see how they worked with the language. They were so excited to do it. I'm an incredibly uninventive contemporary composer in terms of notation, and I'm using techniques that have been around for 50 years. I mean, I still use meters. Wow, that's incredible. Time signatures. I don't use key signatures, so wow, that makes me super radical, I guess. But the thing is that the way that I generally get across what I consider to be the ethos of what I feel in my own traditional music is basic orchestration colors, and even in a small ensemble, I'm thinking color, and so it's in the orchestration and in the rhythm and in the phrasing. So I will say that, even though I'm using very standard time signatures, I shape those time signatures according to the phrasing that I feel is going to express the phrasing of the traditional music. So again, it's not super radical, but it's important for people to look at that and go, oh, I see. Okay, he's got 3 4 4 4 2 and then a 5. Okay, well, it could have been notated as a 4, 2, 3. You could do it different ways, but I chose that because I feel there's a flow to that particular combination that gives the right feel. So again, it's not radical and it's not very inventive, but I use some pretty conservative ways of actually trying to get the right feeling of that phrase out. It's what I need. I don't think I need to do any. I've thought of like, oh, I should get really, really crazy with this, and then when I start doing that, I lose what I'm actually trying to express. And so right now, I'm kind of just in a very conservative land of getting that across. It's fine to move it.
You like that, dude?
I have to be honest with you, I never heard of an Indianist composer until I started composing myself, and somebody had brought that up to me. I had played McDowell, but I didn't know of any of his actual Indianist pieces. I mean, and I guess I have to be careful about that. I played in the Dvorak New World Symphony, but it never registered to me as an Indian piece. I saw that as somebody, I saw it as a piece, but it didn't register to me the same as some, as Indianist composers do register to some other people. I see them as just that, Indianists, but they're not Indians. So they're not Indian composers, and that's just a racial thing. I mean, they're not Indians. I mean, so, and I don't want that to sound harsh. It's just a point of fact. And also, that would be like saying, that Zane Grey is an Indian author. They're writing about Indians, but they're not Indian composers themselves, and hence the words Indianists. I think there's a reason why they used that particular word. They modified it in that way because it was being accurate. I think that their importance in American Indian composition is nil. And again, I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, I actually love some of their compositions and everything, and I've played some of their music, but I don't. As an American Indian composer, they have absolutely no impact on what I do, and have no influence or inspiration, or have given me no foundation out of which to grow. So they had their own observational, splurges in composing about Indians, but I've never seen that as an integral part of the history of American Indian composers. I do want people to be interested in the fact that I'm Indian, but I also want them to be interested in the fact that they think I'm good. That's what I'm hoping. At the end of the day, I want people to come on and to just simply say, I think he's a terrific composer. I mean, who doesn't want that? Okay, that's definitely the goal. My model of inspiration is, it's the history of all those big composers who had no mistake in how they identified nationally and were amazing composers. So I'm hoping that I do that all the time. And I live with that pressure that I put on myself when I'm sitting down and I'm writing and I'm thinking to myself, you better deliver. You got to make it good, man, because otherwise people are going to go, who cares? I don't care then if you're Indian, if you're not any good.